the Soviet Union, a land of mystery and contradiction. Behind the Iron Curtain, a unique technological narrative unfolded. This was the story of Soviet computing, a tale of early promise and ambition. Soviet scientists embarked on a quest to master the digital frontier. They achieved notable early successes, yet the Soviet computer industry faltered. It struggled to keep pace with the West. This essay delves into the captivating history of Soviet computing. It explores the factors that contributed to its initial successes and its ultimate demise. The Soviet Union's journey into the digital age began with visionary scientists and engineers. Sergei Lebedev, a brilliant scientist, led the development of the MESM, the Small Electronic Calculating Machine. Completed in 1950, the MESM was one of the first computers in continental Europe. It marked a significant achievement, demonstrating the Soviet Union's ability to compete with the West. Lebedev's team later developed the BSM series, used for scientific and military purposes. Despite challenges, these pioneers saw computing as a tool for progress and national security. The development of computing in the Soviet Union was deeply intertwined with the ideological and political currents of the time. The Soviet Union, founded on the principles of Marxism-Leninism, viewed science and technology as tools for building a socialist society. However, the emergence of cybernetics, the study of control and communication in animals and machines, initially faced resistance from some quarters of the Soviet establishment. Cybernetics, with its emphasis on feedback loops and self-regulating systems, was seen by some as a challenge to the Marxist-Leninist view of history and society. Critics argued that cybernetics was a bourgeois pseudoscience that undermined the role of human consciousness and the inevitability of socialist revolution. They feared that the automation of tasks through computers would lead to mass unemployment and social unrest. Despite this initial resistance, cybernetics eventually gained acceptance within the Soviet Union. This shift was partly driven by the realization that computing technology had significant military and economic potential. The Soviet leadership under Nikita Khrushchev recognized the need to keep pace with the West in this strategic field. The Soviet government invested heavily in the development of computing technology, establishing research institutes, funding universities, and promoting computer science education. However, the ideological legacy of the early debates over cybernetics continued to shape the development of Soviet computing in subtle ways. The emphasis on central planning and control, deeply ingrained in the Soviet system, influenced the design and application of computers. Soviet computers were often large, complex, and geared towards solving problems at a national scale, reflecting the centralized nature of the Soviet economy. The Soviet approach to computing also prioritized collective goals over individual expression. The Soviet space program, a source of immense national pride, became a driving force behind the development of Soviet computing. The complex calculations required for rocketry, orbital mechanics, and spacecraft design pushed the limits of existing computing power. Soviet scientists and engineers responded to this challenge with remarkable ingenuity, developing specialized computers that played a crucial role in the early successes of the Soviet space program. One of the most notable examples of this synergy between computing and space exploration was the development of the Strela computer. Created in the early 1950s, the Strela, meaning arrow in Russian, was one of the world's first mainframe computers. It was used extensively by Soviet space scientists to calculate satellite trajectories, process telemetry data, and plan missions. The Strela computer, with its impressive processing speed for the time, enabled Soviet scientists to track Sputnik, the world's first artificial satellite, and later Yuri Gagarin's historic flight, the first human journey into space. The demands of the space race spurred further innovation in Soviet computing. New generations of computers, such as the BSM-6, were developed with enhanced processing power, memory, and reliability. These computers were essential for processing the vast amounts of data generated by increasingly ambitious space missions, including the launch of the first space station, Salyut 1, in 1971. The Soviet Union's achievements in space exploration captured the world's imagination and showcased the capabilities of Soviet science and engineering. However, the reliance on computing for space exploration also exposed some of the underlying weaknesses of the Soviet computer industry. The production of computers was often plagued by delays, quality control issues, and a lack of standardization. These problems highlighted the challenges of maintaining a technological edge in a rapidly evolving field. Despite these challenges, the Soviet space program continued to rely heavily on domestic computing power, demonstrating the strategic importance of this technology. The Soviet Union faced numerous systemic challenges that hindered the development of their computer industry. Centralized planning often led to inefficiencies and delays, as decisions had to pass through multiple layers of bureaucracy. Additionally, the lack of competition stifled innovation, with state-run enterprises having little incentive to improve or take risks. Another significant issue was the scarcity of resources. Economic constraints meant that funding for research and development was often limited, making it difficult for scientists and engineers to keep up with their Western counterparts. Furthermore, the Soviet education system, while strong in theoretical knowledge, sometimes fell short in practical applications, leaving a gap between academic prowess and real-world technological advancements. The secrecy and isolation prevalent during the Cold War also played a role. Limited access to international collaborations and the latest technological developments meant that Soviet researchers were often working in a vacuum, unaware of the breakthroughs happening elsewhere. In the end, these systemic challenges and failures contributed to the stagnation and eventual decline of the Soviet computer industry, despite the potential and early successes. The story of Soviet computing is a complex one, marked by both remarkable achievements and significant obstacles. In the 1960s, the Soviet Union made a strategic decision to copy the IBM 360 mainframe computer. This move was seen as a shortcut to catching up with Western advancements in computing technology. By reverse engineering the IBM 360, Soviet engineers hoped to leapfrog years of development and quickly modernize their computing capabilities. However, the process wasn't without its challenges. The Soviet version, known as the ES-EVM, faced numerous technical difficulties and compatibility issues. Despite these obstacles, it became a cornerstone of Soviet computing for many years. As the world entered the age of personal computing in the 1980s, the Soviet Union found itself lagging behind. While the West experienced a boom in innovation and accessibility, Soviet computing stagnated. Centralized planning and a lack of resources hindered progress. The Soviet government prioritized military and industrial applications over personal use, leaving everyday citizens with limited access to computing technology. This stagnation further widened the technological gap between the Soviet Union and the West, making it increasingly difficult for Soviet scientists and engineers to keep pace with their Western counterparts. With the advent of Perestroika in the mid-1980s, the Soviet Union began to open up to the world. This period of political and economic reform allowed for an influx of Western technology and ideas. Soviet engineers and scientists gained access to previously unavailable hardware and software, sparking a new wave of innovation. The introduction of Western technology brought fresh perspectives and methods, leading to significant advancements in Soviet computing. However, this newfound openness also highlighted the vast technological disparity between the Soviet Union and the West, underscoring the need for continued reform and modernization. The story of Soviet computing offers valuable lessons for today's rapidly evolving technological landscape. One key takeaway is the importance of innovation and adaptability. The Soviet Union's reliance on copying Western technology ultimately stifled its own creative potential. Additionally, the centralized control and lack of resources hindered progress and accessibility. In contrast, the influx of Western technology during Perestroika demonstrated the benefits of openness and collaboration. As we move forward, these lessons remind us of the need to foster innovation, embrace change, and maintain a global perspective in the pursuit of technological advancement.